My boyfriend had a white moonlight who'd gone abroad. Every time I brought her up, he would coax me, "Babe, that woman scammed me until I was flat broke. I even lost a finger because of her. She ruined me. If I could, I'd hack her to pieces." How could I still love her? Those words came from his mouth. Later, the same mouth kissed Holly on my king-size bed. At 1 a.m, Ethan rang me, slurring that I should pick him up at the bar. He was wasted, sprawled on a couch like he'd passed out. The instant his Vance spotted me, they jumped up. "Sis-in-law, Vance bros plastered. None of us can handle him, only you can." I didn't answer. I walked over and patted his shoulder. "Let's go home." Ethan still wore the black suit he'd put on for work. After a full day it was rumpled. When my touch roused him, he squinted at me. "Babe, you're here." His words were already thick, clearly he'd downed plenty. He pushed himself upright and lowered his eyes. "Babe, drink it." He grabbed a glass from the table and slid it toward me, half a glass of draft beer. The translucent liquid flashed under the lights, and my heart twisted. He called me babe, yet the tone was an order. I sighed, helpless. "You know I'm allergic to alcohol." His Vance saw trouble brewing and rushed to smooth it over. "Vance bro, sis-in-law's allergy is no secret. Forget the drink, just take her home." "Yeah, sis-in-law, he's drunk, ignore him." Ethan kept staring. The next second he yanked me into his lap. He nuzzled me, coaxing, "If she's allergic and still drinks, that proves she loves me." With the hand missing a finger he pointed at the glass, insisting. My gaze slid past his hand to the gap where his ring finger should be, an entire finger, gone. How had it happened? I remembered, it had been chopped off. Someone that brilliant, losing a finger, how excruciating. The thought made me ache for him. I couldn't bear to refuse. I lifted the glass and drained it. The alcohol burned from throat to stomach. I swayed, dizzy, and collapsed beside him. Ethan looked pleased. He rested his chin on my hair and murmured, "Holly, you lied again. See? You can drink." The moment he finished, he passed out. Meanwhile my chest throbbed. I sat frozen. In an instant the Vance held their breath, sneaking glances at my face. Though they hadn't known him long, they'd heard scraps of his romantic history. Seeing their expressions, as if they'd swallowed feces, I curved my lips and couldn't help laughing. Right, my name isn't Holly. Holly is the name of his ex, the one who'd cost him a finger. Because of the allergy I landed in the ER that night. After the stomach pump, I lay wide awake. While I tossed and turned, the door slammed open, scaring me stiff. I looked up, my best friend Jade blew in like a storm. She stomped inside and hurled her bag. "Where's that bastard Ethan? I'm gonna kill him tonight." Her face was scarlet with rage. She looked like a bristling hedgehog beside me. I tugged her hand, calming her. "Chill. He knew you're allergic and still made you drink. I swear I'll break his leg." She ground her teeth, itching to rip Ethan apart. "Where is he?" "Not here?" She circled the room, not seeing him fed her fury. Of course he wasn't, his ex was back, and he was currently at the police station. "You idiot, he told you to drink and you drank? You got rocks in your head?" Jade, unable to find Ethan, vented on me. I gave a bitter smile. "He said drinking meant I loved him." Jade sprang up, hands on hips like a fishwife. "All these years, how many dumb stunts have you pulled to prove you love him? You put him first every time and he's still not satisfied. Don't forget, you're the one who helped him rise from the ashes." "I can't forget, but Ethan seems to have." Back then, Holly had scammed him into bankruptcy. He ended up homeless, and I took him in. I still remember the day he dragged a suitcase to my door, its zipper broken, shabby clothes spilling onto the ground, obviously worn threadbare. Head lowered, he begged, "Luna, can we get back together?" No, getting back together was the last thing I wanted. He'd cheated first. Ethan and I had dated since junior year of high school. We broke up sophomore year of college. He'd cheated on me with Holly. He was my first love, and the breakup wrecked me for a long time. Just when I was finally forgetting, he reappeared, pleading. Turns out Holly, after little more than a year, had drained his accounts and flown overseas with another man. Broke and too ashamed to ask his family, he hunted for part-time work. Still degreeless, he took a night shift at a factory. A machine mangled his ring finger. The crooked foreman tossed him a few $100 and kicked him out. Ethan had nowhere to turn, so he came to me. At the time I didn't know his straits. Memories of his cheating made me send him away. It wasn't until his former Vance, Leo, called that I learned how far he'd fallen. Leo texted me Ethan's address, pleading, "Luna, without you Ethan will die." My heart softened. I raced to Ethan's rented room. I arrived just as the landlord threw him out. Deep winter, he wore only a thin layer, box and body tossed onto the street. Seeing me, he was startled, hope flickering in his eyes. "Luna, why are you here?" He dragged the suitcase and lifted a hand to stop me. "Luna, don't come closer, it's filthy." Only then did I see his maimed right hand. The entire ring finger was gone, crudely bandaged, faint blood seeping through. I lost it. I ran over, pressing the hand to my cheek. Once smooth and fair, it was now calloused and scarred. Tears rolled down. I ached for him. This was the man I'd loved for 4 years, the one I'd cherished like blown glass. How had he become this wreck? Avery. My heart split in pain. That day I wailed so loudly that neighbors poured into Mapleback to gawk. Ethan held me, coaxing, "Luna, it's okay, my hand doesn't hurt. Luna, don't cry, when you cry, I ache." Ethan was good at lying, but his tricks were mediocre. Take now, for example, he held Holly and repeated the same old lines. "Holly, don't cry. When you cry, I ache for you." In the video Holly wore a white maxi dress and no makeup. She wept beautifully. Maybe Ethan's words gave her courage. She lifted her head from his chest and kissed him. Ethan froze for a second, then slid his hand to the back of her head, pulled her closer, and deepened the kiss. The living room light washed over their faces. They were lost in each other, kissing like the world had stopped. I stared at the clip on my phone, fury jammed in my throat, so overwhelming my face contorted, and a laugh slipped out. Jade shot me a look and exploded. "You can laugh?" Then her own tears fell, heartbroken. "Why are you this soft?" She was right. I'd been soft since childhood. Grandma raised me, one old woman, one little kid. Life was as harsh as you'd imagine. So I kept telling myself, be sensible, be obedient, don't give grandma trouble. When kids bullied me I stayed quiet, complaining was useless. At her age, the only thing my tears would do was break her heart. I bowed my head, tiptoed around everyone. I didn't know what dignity was. I thought I wasn't entitled to it. Then I met Ethan, the boy who silently walked me home every night, who saved his meager allowance to buy me snacks. He told me I was the kindest, best girl in the world, that he would spoil and protect me forever. I believed him, until I learned that kind can be an insult. I clenched the sheet in my fist. The good get trampled. "Ethan, this time I won't let you walk away." I wouldn't let Jade stay the night. Her crying made my chest tighter. That firecracker of a woman couldn't bear to see me wronged, and her sobs grated on me, so I chased her out. Consequently, Ethan arrived to an empty room. He carried a bouquet of roses, sat beside my bed, eyes lowered. "Luna, I'm sorry. I drank too much last night." I'd been in the hospital a full day and night, only now did he remember me. He reached for my hand, I pulled away. My silence annoyed him. "Luna, you knew I was drunk. You were sober, why'd you let me act out?" I glanced at him and laughed. He never admits fault, flipping the script is his specialty. Realizing he'd slipped, he apologized, face darkening. "Sorry, babe. My bad, I shouldn't have drunk." He loosened his tie for comfort, but the motion exposed the hickey on his neck. "And?" I kept staring, prompting him. He swallowed, eyes drifting as if something had flashed through his mind, then forced a resolute smile. "And, baby, I made you suffer. Get well soon, okay?" I burst out giggling. "Ah, I'm joking. You know I love you, I'd do anything for you." I sat up, hugged his waist, pressed my face to his stomach, hiding my smirk. It wasn't time to tear the mask off. Half my net worth was still tangled with his. I'd retrieve every cent before I kicked him to the curb. Swallowing my disgust, I played fragile and sweet. "Ethan, I really love you, don't ever let me down." He exhaled in relief, bending to pat my back. "Luna, once this busy stretch is over, we'll get married." The tension on his face melted into an easy grin. I tilted my head, nodded happily, eyes shining with pretended devotion. "Marriage? Sure, only the groom won't be you." The next morning I rose early and had breakfast ready. When Ethan appeared and saw my pale face, guilt flickered. "Baby, you're still sick. Why up so early?" He hugged me, ruffling my hair. I gave him a perfunctory squeeze and comforted him instead. "I'm much better. You're swamped with Sinclair tech, I can't let you go hungry. I sneered inwardly, breakfast was takeout from downstairs. Let him feel guilty, the heavier the weight, the easier my next move. Like always, I poured his oatmeal, blew on it, and handed him the spoon. The sight of his sick girlfriend cooking made him wince, and my stream of concern deepened his remorse. While his emotions were piqued, I struck. Ethan, Sinclair Tech is overwhelming you lately. You've lost weight. Let me come back and help. His spoon paused midair, then resumed. You just recovered. Rest a bit longer, I can handle it. We co-founded a software company, and I'd poured my life into it. In the early days I drank until I developed an alcohol allergy just to land contracts. Business finally boomed, so I'd taken leave, intending to plan our wedding and try for a baby. Now that fantasy was toast, I needed to reclaim control. I smiled and refilled his bowl. I think staying idle made me ill. No exercise, weak immunity. I'll tag along today, say hi to the team, I miss them. I'd left him no graceful exit. After eating, he drove me to Sinclair Tech. For days I stuck to him, partly to audit recent projects, partly to block any trysts with Holly. Right now, whoever kept their cool held the upper hand. I was waiting for Holly to come knocking. I'd known Holly since high school. She was a classmate of Ethan's and mine. She'd always been a lone wolf, infamous for her nasty temper. One afternoon Ethan and I returned to campus just as Holly erupted. The queen bee had torn Holly's textbook to shreds. Holly found out and attacked her, one girl against a clique, never flinching. Ethan yanked me behind him when we stepped into the chaos, afraid I'd be jostled. Holly's hair hung in tangles, blood streaks on her face and arms, pitiful yet fierce. I clutched Ethan's sleeve. Should we break it up? Don't meddle. He pulled me past the brawl to our seats. Once seated, he sent Holly a cold glance. With that temper, she'll get herself beaten up one day. Holly heard him and glared back, sparks practically flying. I squeezed Ethan's hand. Don't be mean. Secretly, I envied Holly, bold, loud, never afraid to fight. Not like me, timid and shrinking. Back then I thought they simply rubbed each other the wrong way. How blind I was. If Ethan hadn't been watching Holly all along, how could he have read her so well? Ethan and Holly started getting closer right after our college entrance exams. Because I had to look after Grandma, I stayed in Riverdale, while the two of them went to the same out-of-state school. Whenever Ethan called, he would toss off some comment about Holly. Today I ran into this guy confessing to Holly in the quad. She literally smashed the bouquet over his head. With that temper, who could stand her? He thought he was just venting to me, but something felt off. Back then I was clueless and didn't spot the warning signs. Not until he rang me up, voice sparkling, Luna, Holly's fire is unreal. Intramural game against the InfoSci team, they cheat, and Holly storms the court, tears their whole squad a new one. From annoyance to admiration, his flip was complete. Avery, it finally hit me, I was losing Ethan. I could practically see the smirk curling his mouth when he said her name. I squeezed the phone, whispering, Ethan, am I about to lose you? He snapped, suddenly irritated, Luna, quit stirring drama out of thin air. The longer we stayed long distance, the more insecure I became. Some days I dialed him 4, 5 times. Finally he lost it. Luna, can you not? I've got classes, no spare hour for marathon calls. The line clicked dead. I stared at the ended call screen. I'd only wanted to warn him I had a cold and the weather had turned, so he should stay warm. I told myself he was probably swamped and I'd been a pest. I swiped out of the call log and opened WhatsApp, then reflexively tapped stories. One glance and my blood ran backward. No time for me, yet there Ethan was, inside Holly's post. He wasn't in frame, but that hand with the small mole beside the thumb was unmistakable. Too busy for his girlfriend, yet free to clink bubble tea cups with her, their interlaced fingers shining under the camera flash. With shaking thumbs I typed, "You went out with Holly?" Minutes crawled before the reply popped, "Yeah." Not a sliver of explanation, maybe just too lazy to lie. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, biting my lip, tears plopping onto the screen, my heart splitting. Thinking about what I'd just lived through, I choked on every other word. "Because you'd throw a fit and sulk for days." "Your paranoia is exhausting," came his answer. He still assumed I hadn't figured out they were together. I hurled the photo at him in chat. Silence. Then, "If you already know, let's break up. You kept dreading I'd find someone else. Congrats, you got what you wished for." Shameless, he cheated, yet painted me the villain. The pain felt like my chest was ripping. it took forever to breathe again. I was young then, easily capsized, but I've changed. When Holly came knocking later, I handled her with calm precision. Across the cafe table she smirked, chin propped on her knuckles. I know Ethan's plan, make me fall for him again, then dump me, his idea of revenge. Problem is, he can lie to everyone except his own body. One look at me and he's on fire. I've always owned real estate in his head. I lifted my latte, took a slow sip. So? She slid her phone between us, a video cued. On screen, Holly grazed Ethan's Adam's apple with her lips, fingers teasing every sensitive inch. A scarlet body cling dress, fierce and loud. Ethan chuckled against her ear, "You're pure witchcraft." Then he pinned her to the wall, kissing hard. They stumbled from door to king-size bed like long-lost lovers, limbs tangled, refusing to let go. I'm nothing like her. I'm the dull one. Ethan's kisses were always soft, laughing at my clumsiness. Even in bed he'd coax, "Luna, I want to hear you," breath hot against my neck. But I'd clench my teeth, flushed with shame. He'd sigh and gentle himself, the tenderness almost breaking him. I kept watching, hypnotized. Holly purred beside me, "Bet your place has footage too." Noticed the camera over the sofa when we fooled around there. Ethan said it himself when he crawled back apologizing. "Luna, Holly's slippery, every mind game invented, she has a black belt. I swear I never planned a future with her, I just wanted to beat her." "Really?" Yet he looked pretty submerged from where I sat. I met Holly's gaze. "What is it you want?" She grinned. "You've changed, Luna. Back in high school you were everyone's doormat, hiding behind Ethan like a shadow. God, I hated that mousy yes ma'am look, like the world could stomp on you and you'd apologize for being underfoot. I kept wondering, if Ethan vanished, what would be left of you?" I smiled back. "People grow up. Still, you fished my trash out of the bin." Triumph glittered in her eyes. "Takes one to know one," I answered, voice level. Her smug mask cracked, she opened her mouth, found nothing. I'd wasted enough oxygen. I grabbed my purse and rose. "Wire me 10 million and I'll walk away forever," she called after me. Smart girl, she learned early that cash outlives men. It took me years to graduate to the same conclusion. I clicked the recorder in my coat pocket shut and left her in a cloud of espresso steam. Ethan stumbled in after midnight. His key in the lock woke me, and hearing I was up he rasped, "Why aren't you asleep?" He wore the charcoal suit I'd custom tailored, every stitch chosen, every fitting supervised by me. Now it carried souvenirs, collar twisted, lipstick ghost at the throat. I pictured Holly yanking him down by that same collar, rising on tiptoe to kiss him, and bile flooded my mouth. I bolted from the king-size bed to the bathroom and retched until the walls spun. He followed, patting my back. "What's wrong, baby? Don't touch me." Each pat triggered another heave. Seeing I meant it, he retreated, set a bottle of water by my foot, and closed the door. When my stomach had nothing left, I rinsed at the sink and moved to the living room sofa. Ethan dropped beside me, nosing my neck like an overgrown puppy. "Tummy acting up again?" I pushed his head away. "Sit. We need to talk." He blinked, suddenly sober. "What's going on?" "You're scaring me." I rarely used that tone, he knew the stakes. I pulled the recorder from my coat and hit play. Holly's voice filled the room. After 2 sentences he panicked, lunging for the device. "Luna, she's lying, don't buy it, nothing happened, I swear." His frantic fingers fought to stop the playback. I was already a step ahead of him, the recorder in my hand, saying nothing, letting the file keep playing. When the clip finally reached the part where Holly demanded 10 million from me, he swore under his breath. Even Ethan had probably never imagined that, from the very start, Holly had been turning him around her finger. I stared at his face without blinking. The color had drained so far it looked ready to drip ink. In a man's world, women are toys to play with. Becoming the toy himself is the one humiliation he can't stomach. He'd already fallen for Holly once, he absolutely couldn't bear to be fooled again. "So, Ethan, this time I won't merely ruin your reputation, I'm going to break you inside your head." I helped him up off the ground, brushed his hair like I was coaxing a child. "It's okay. I believe you. I know what Holly's like, vicious. I only trust you. Come on, take me somewhere." The cruelest thing you can do to a person is hand him hope, then jerk it away. Holly has always played that card well. Today I'm borrowing it. I brought Ethan to my college. Because we'd been long distance, he had never once set foot here. We strolled down a tree-lined path so green it looked drenched. When another couple brushed past, he instinctively grabbed my hand. I let him keep it. At Crescent Pond we found lovers wandering everywhere. I pointed at them. When I studied here, I used to envy girls whose boyfriends brought breakfast, walked them to class, maybe spent an evening right here. I kept thinking, if you ever came to visit, I'd bring you here too, but you never did. Remembering how small I used to feel, my chest prickled in a tight, dense ache. I drew tiny breaths, and the hatred thickened. Ethan stayed quiet for a long time, eyes glassy with guilt. Luna, I'll come here with you all the time from now on, okay? I only smiled and said nothing. He thought I was wallowing in the past, waiting for him to patch the holes? How naive. I was opening the ledger on every debt he'd run up over the years. I toured him around campus. When we reached the research building I stopped. I lifted my finger toward the patch of ground behind the labs and pulled the best smile I could manage. One night I finished an experiment late. The moment I stepped out, someone dragged me back there, clamped a hand over my mouth, pinned my arms and legs. Luckily Lab was leaving too and heard the struggle. He pulled me free. Thinking back, I was damn lucky. Ethan froze, disbelief flooding his eyes. Why didn't you tell me? I lowered my head and slipped my hand out of his. I was crazy about you. I didn't want you to worry. And I knew saying anything would be pointless. You were hundreds of miles away, you couldn't help. I gave a bitter little laugh. In fact, I did call you, on the very day we broke up. Afraid he'd forgotten, I added, you were sharing bubble tea with Holly. While I was fighting for my life, my boyfriend was romancing another girl under the moon. The corners of Ethan's mouth stiffened, his rims reddened. He searched for words and finally squeezed out, I'm sorry. He's always been a crybaby. He rubbed his nose, tilting his head back so the tears wouldn't fall. He used that trick when we were kids to coax my sympathy. But I'm older now, harder to hustle. I flicked my wrist, no big deal. Apologies bore me. I want to watch the payback unfold in front of his eyes. I leaned against a tree. Know why I agreed to get back together with you? I paused. It wasn't because I love you so much. It was because, the night you dumped me, the girl who begged and clung was so pathetic, so undignified. I hated her. I wanted a do-over. I smoothed the collar of his shirt, then patted his cheek. Look, you've flourished under my care these past years, and I've taken pretty good care of myself too. I no longer believe I can't breathe without you. I won't ache because you walked away, won't doubt myself the moment you stop loving me, won't sob at 3 a.m. asking how you could switch it off just like that. I lifted my eyes to the moon. You never acted the part of loving me well, Ethan. I've seen what you look like when you love me, and when you don't. People who waste true hearts deserve to swallow 10,000 needles. So, Ethan, since I lost to scum like you in love, I'll take my revenge in love. I mapped it all out the day we reunited 3 years ago. I'd shower you with devotion, raise you into something utterly dependent, then discard you with my own hands. This time, finally, I'm the one walking away. When the company launched, I held 100% of the shares. 1. Ethan had forfeited my trust long ago. 2. He felt so guilty he signed everything, cars, houses, over to me to prove his loyalty. Outsiders think I helped Ethan climb back to the top. In truth, he was only ever my employee. When he stayed with me he was Mr. Vance. Once he walked out he was just that guy Vance. Early next morning the first thing I did was call a board meeting. There was only one item on the agenda, oust Ethan. He'd merely been an acting chair. Now that I was back, he could leave. The meeting took minutes. Sole ownership has its perks, and Ethan was expelled. These last few days I'd trailed him through every current project. Taking over was effortless. Now Ethan stood outside the glass doors clutching his cardboard box. The moment I stepped out he blocked my path. His eyes were downcast, reeking of last night's draft beer, every line of him shabby and defeated, especially the hand wrapped around the finger he'd lose a finger, a faint bloodstain seeping through. Luna, I was wrong. Forgive me, please? He reached for my sleeve, tears glinting in the corners of his eyes. The morning light bleached his face even whiter. For a second I saw the broken boy from back when, but this time I felt nothing, recognizing another sympathy con when I saw it. I yanked my arm free and laughed under my breath. Cut the act, Ethan. The pity routine doesn't work anymore. I opened my bag, drew out a card, flicked it to the pavement. There's 100 grand on that. Call it severance for all the years you worked for me. Go see a doctor before that festers. Only then did he realize I wasn't bluffing. Panic cracked his voice. Luna, you've had your revenge. I've got nothing left. I hurt you once, you've hurt me once, let's call it even and get back together, okay? I used to think he was thick-skinned, now I know his heart's just as bloated. I signaled security, 2 guards hauled him backward. He twisted free and lunged, grabbing my arm. I only did what ordinary guys do, why can't you forgive me? You forgave me last time. He never thought I'd go this far, still picturing the naive girl who swallowed every line he fed her. I lowered my head and couldn't help laughing at how dull he was. Truth is, when a woman gets older, she also grows a brain, unlike men, who stay brainless yet somehow overflow with confidence. I pushed aside the half of his body blocking my path and strode toward the distance. A slanting ray of sunset light refracted between us, like a dividing line that marooned our shadows on opposite banks. Right, almost forgot to mention, Holly was a pawn I purposely flew back. Sinclair Tech had been firing on all cylinders for years. I'd wanted to oust Ethan long ago. But to blunt any counterattack, I needed leverage, a handful of his dirty secrets. These past 3 years abroad Holly had swindled plenty of people, so I'd quietly gathered evidence and forced her onto the return flight. I knew the minute she landed she'd fling herself at Ethan. As predicted, she performed, even tossed in a sex tape for good measure, with footage of him cheating on me. The moment he tries to fight back I can slam the video down and crush him. Thinking about it made my chest flood with cool, bright relief. I glanced back and smiled at Ethan. Ethan, I'm moving on now. I'm stepping toward a life that's gorgeous and rich. You, meanwhile, can crawl back to the days of a lost finger and empty pockets, back to Sam. We shared a road once, Sam, so I wish you peace, health, the dullest, most unremarkable days from here to the grave. I dragged Ethan out of hell, hauled him to the clouds, then spun around and shoved him straight back into the fire. If he'd never clawed his way out, never tasted the light, he could have muddled through in a haze. But after the roller coaster ride, I'm sure he'll spend every waking moment regretting that he personally torched a life of silk and champagne. That colossal drop will gnaw at him daily, kill the body, murder the heart. To me, that's the sweetest revenge. Extra, Luna keeps showing up under the sycamore outside my building. When I come back from Sinclair Tech he's perched on the roots, springing up the instant he spots me, looking flustered. He's wearing a gray t-shirt, halfway frayed, and muddy sneakers, tattered, exhausted, a universe away from the tailored suit CEO he used to be. I walked past without glancing sideways, he didn't follow. Inside, I peered through the window, he was still there, head bowed, knuckles rubbing his eyes. If I'm not mistaken, the man was crying. He's tall, used to live in the gym, the perfect weight. Today he looks gaunt, as if one gust could topple him. He braced himself against the trunk and sobbed so long he finally slid to the ground, shaking. I poured myself a glass of milk and watched like it was a sitcom. Avery, I thought, so this is the scumbag mentality, cry, cry, cry. All he does is whine, annoying as hell. Word is he and Holly are done. Makes sense, a calculator like Holly ditches the moment the money tap runs dry. Plus Holly's neck deep in lawsuits, she can't even save herself, that's why their reunion happened inside a police station. Ethan's probably coughing up his own liver in regret. A few days ago he texted, Luna, Holly conned me. I just found out she sent the anonymous tip that my thesis was plagiarism, cost me my degree. On the phone he wept like a little kid, swore he finally understood how wrong he was. So what? He and I are nothing now. Truth is, I'd known about Holly's tip from the start. After she fled overseas and Ethan and I got back together, she knifed him in the back. One anonymous report and his diploma evaporated. Classic Holly, can't stand anyone else's happiness. I traced the culprit immediately, but I kept quiet. I didn't want him imploding while Sinclair Tech was still a fledgling. I told him it was probably a rival firm, after all, he was the boss now, who needs parchment. These days, though, the timing is perfect, so I had a mutual acquaintance casually leak the story to him. Hurt, right? The betrayer gets betrayed. I drew the white sheer curtains, padded back to my 6-figure king-size bed, and speed-dialed my realtor. Time to unload this place, it keeps attracting flies, bad juju. Extra, Ethan losing Luna. Ethan finally realized how useless he was. No company, no safety net, former buddies dodge him like a swarm of gnats. All those Vance types who once barked bro have blocked him. He scrolls through his contacts and can't find a single soul to call. Then the sky fell. His parents heard he'd screwed up and split with Luna. His father collapsed into a hospital bed. Luna's card, his life support, now pays medical bills. Back in his hometown, Luna used to cover every expense. Without her, the load lands square on him, and he finally feels the weight she carried. Only Luna will never forgive him. The family needs cash, so Ethan grabs the first gig he can. No degree, just a high school diploma. He circles want ads and lands nothing but delivery shifts. The once chauffeured CEO now obsesses over battery percentage on a beat-up scooter. Each time he passes the apartment he once shared with Luna, his eyes burn. So damn close, one step shy of a Riverdale wedding ceremony. He blew it, greed incarnate. At midnight he asks himself, do I love Luna? Probably, else why the years of entanglement? Do I love Holly? Yeah, maybe, why else the need to beat her at her own game? Greed, pure and simple. He thought the throne let him do as he pleased, thought if Luna forgave him once she'd forgive twice. His ego scored him a big fat 0. Ping, another order reminder. He kicks off, racing the countdown. Miss this drop and pay is slashed. After the handoff a 1-star rating pops up, $50 gone. Leaning on the scooter, he lights a cheap cigarette. One drag and it coughs him into tears. He sobs and laughs at once, remembering the line he tossed at her. Luna, I only did what any regular guy would do, right? Well, look at him now, regular to the bone, hustling to keep the lights on, just another man on the street. Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you liked the video, please hit like and share it with friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.